Wondering whether you should be keeping VAT receipts? Well, watch on. As a business accountant, my team and I spend all day long helping business owners on their journey. And as you can imagine, the question of, should I be keeping VAT receipts? What is a VAT receipt? Is this something I should be asking for? Pops up all the time. And that's what I'm going to answer in this quick video. But stay around to the end, because I think quite a big important thing from this video I want you to take is the traps. So HMRC VAT department are one of the areas where they're quite black and white with how they operate with VAT receipts. And near the end, I'm going to tell you exactly what to avoid so you don't get into any trouble with them. But before we get going, if you enjoy these videos, make sure to click the subscribe button and the bell below so you get notified whenever we release more videos just like this one. So it's worth saying to start off with then, if you're not VAT registered, then you've got a bit of an easier life with this. Now, if you're not sure if you're VAT registered, let's just say you don't get registered by default. You would have had to go and do it. In the UK at the time of recording the video, you only have to be VAT registered for most businesses when you do over £85,000 in a 12-month period. So, if you're just starting out and you haven't VAT registered, then you're not VAT registered. And the good news, if that's you, is you need to keep good business records. You need to try and keep proof of purchase and as much of a record as you can of the things that you've bought if you want sort of an income tax deduction for your own tax return. But from a VAT perspective, you don't have to ask for VAT receipts. Any sort of proof of purchase will do. The more detail, the better for your own records. But ultimately, the VAT bit itself is not that important. It costs what it costs, regardless of what the VAT is. It's a bit like, when you do your home shopping and that, you don't look at the VAT portion. If you go, I paid a lot of VAT on some of this stuff, it just doesn't happen. So just keep proof of purchase and then get on with your life, really. That's it from a non-VAT registered person. So if you're VAT registered, which is going to be where it's most important for you all, is that you need VAT receipt, is the short part of this. Now, the reason you need VAT receipts is the revenue say, from their own point of view, that once you're VAT registered, there's sort of two extra things you need to do. One is keep records of your VAT invoices you've issued. So if you're VAT registered, you're normally putting VAT on your services. Generally, there are some businesses where that's not the case and some services where there's no VAT, but generally, you're going to be putting VAT on there. So when you send someone an invoice, you're going to have to show the VAT. So you've got to keep records of those. And the reason they want you to keep those records is because they do actually do checks. When they look at a business's VAT return, quite often they might phone some of the customers from those invoices and check the VAT invoices are valid. So you need to keep all your VAT invoices that you'd have issued. But the subject of this video is making sure that you keep VAT receipts where you've incurred VAT. So when you bought stuff, basically, and that's pretty important. So you need to do that. The other thing that the revenue want you to do is keep what they call a VAT account. And I'm not going to go too detailed into this, but let's just say that most of the softwares that you'll need to submit your VAT returns will handle that. It's just sort of a list really of here's all the VAT that I owe the revenue that I've collected on my invoices that I've sent out and customers have paid me. And then it offsets all of what's known as the input tax, the tax that you've spent out basically and incurred, so that you only hand over the difference to the revenue. So when they say you're reclaiming VAT, that's generally how it's done, is you're offsetting it against the amount that you'd be handing over. So you get sort of an instant reclaim. There's other videos we've done talking about that, but yeah, that's the other thing you've got to keep. But from a VAT point of view, the short answer is yes, you're going to need VAT receipts. Where you might struggle to get them is in a couple of cases. Now, firstly, if the person you're buying it from is not VAT registered, there's going to be no VAT receipt. And that's a common problem we see. So someone will say they won't give me a VAT receipt. And it's like, because they're a small sole trader who's not VAT registered, there isn't any VAT. So just the normal receipt will do. You've not been charged any VAT. The cost is the cost. Fine. The other place you tend to struggle is when you go to, say, a retail store. And the reason being is they've got very specific rules around retail that says under 250 quid, they can basically do a simplified VAT receipt. In this video, I'm not going to go into the depths of what needs to be on a VAT receipt and what doesn't. I will link in the YouTube description some more guides from the revenue that tell you what that is. But generally, the main thing you'll see on a VAT receipt is it shows the breakdown of the amount of VAT that you've been charged and at what rate. So there are several rates of VAT. So it could be like a 5% rate or a 0 rate. Sounds odd, but 0 is still a rate. And then the normal 20% rate at the time of recording the video. So you'd see all that breakdown. So that's normal on a VAT receipt. So from a retail store, even if you can't get a full VAT receipt, technically you could ask for one over £250, but the majority of the receipts are going to be fine for your own purposes. So that's what you're looking for. You're looking for the VAT breakdown. So if they're giving you two receipts, one's that, and the other one's like a cardholder receipt, the cardholder receipt's not that important. So where we see, and we'll talk about it in the traps, is the most obvious one is people go, yeah, there's the receipt, and it's just a cardholder proof of the total amount paid. That's not a VAT receipt. It doesn't show you clearly that they were VAT registered, the VAT number, the amount of VAT that you've been charged. That's the bit that you're looking for. So you want that. And if you're really not sure, just ask. Just say, is that a VAT receipt, or can I have a VAT receipt? And sometimes people will just print you a different copy or the second copy. It's quite normal in some retail stores now because they're conscious of paper, just to give you the cardholder receipt. That's not good enough for your business. So just ask that, can I have a VAT receipt? And if they say, yeah, that is it, then you know, just look at it. And if it's got a VAT breakdown on there, you'll be able to see. Even if you look at your ASDA receipt, you generally see down the bottom end of it that there'll be some details around there. So then let's talk VAT traps, because this is quite important. So the main problem we see in investigations is there's a couple of things. One, no receipt at all. Sounds obvious, but the rules say you need a VAT receipt to claim the input tax. So to reclaim the VAT you've incurred, you need a receipt. The reason is you need to be able to prove that you've actually incurred VAT. So normally there'd be a VAT number, as we said, and it'll tell you the VAT. And give you an example of where that's important. Amazon. So Amazon is a classic example. People go, yeah, I bought all this stuff, and they don't look in detail at the receipt and they claim the VAT back. But a lot of Amazon people, okay, it's changed slightly with some of the rules that we've got now on VAT, but a lot of Amazon traders for, say, China, they're not UK VAT registered. So you might not have actually been charged UK VAT to reclaim. So you do need to have a look, go into your account. You can set up a business account, makes this a little bit easier, but if you are on a personal account because you like your Prime membership or something, just make sure you try and download VAT receipts where it clearly shows that VAT has been charged, because that's one big area. So not having a receipt at all, or claiming VAT where you don't have proof you did actually incur VAT. So you might have, as you say, a cardholder copy or an order summary that's not a VAT receipt. So bear that in mind. The other big one is where you can, try and make sure that the VAT receipt is clearly in the company's name with the company address on, because it's a big area in revenue and customs investigations. Well, they'll disallow receipts where it's not proof that the company's incurred the cost, and that's quite big. Names is particularly important, especially if you've gone, say, sole trader to limited. Make sure you've updated all your suppliers with your new addresses and your new names, because they are really picky about that. It needs to show that the company has incurred the cost. There are some rules around, if you as the directors kind of acting as a purchasing agent and all this kind of stuff, but just say generally where you absolutely can, best practice is get the company name on there somewhere, get the address on there so it's clear that it's to you. And that's really important, particularly if you're signing contracts, finance agreements, all the rest of it. We need to be really clear who owns and who is incurring that cost. So make sure you got the right names on the docs. And they're the main traps. So that's what you need to know. So the basics in summary, make sure you ask if you're VAT registered, yes, you want VAT receipts. Ask if you're unsure. Make sure where you can, you've got your name and your address on them, but it's not always possible. Just make sure you got that bit of paper shows the VAT and the VAT number on it, and you'll be most of the way there. Please do share this with anyone that needs to know this information, and I'll see you in the next one.